Alright guys, welcome to the Alpha Ferg Challenge of the Week. I'm Alpha Ferg, and it's week 2, when we're going to be discussing two base timing pushes with a warp prism. And I do have some stuff to talk about first. First off, week 1 went pretty well. I got it all up there. I'm glad you guys, thank you for watching. But for this week, I actually, here I'm going to take off my glasses because there's glare. I didn't get any replays at all, so I kind of winged it. I found a bunch of replays using two base timing pushes so I can still have a show, but make sure to get replays in if you want to be a part of the show. Week 3, everyone can do it, any level. Proxy fast expands, expanding early on to somewhere where you wouldn't normally expand, whether it's the third base in Daybreak or it's across the map on an Antigua shipyard. Anywhere you want to, anyone can submit a replay. I'd love to see them. I'm looking forward to some good stuff. Secondly, it's my birthday. Hey, yay, it's my birthday. My girlfriend got me a sock monkey, and look what it does. Dances, man. Check it out. Awesome. And lastly, I have been totally sick this last week. So sorry if I cough. Sorry if my voice starts to die towards the end of the cast. But that's what my voice sounds like right now. So can't do anything about it. Let's go into the first game. And so this is going to be Feast versus Idra. Neither of these guys gave me a replay. I stole it from the IEM World Championships that happened earlier this month in Hanover. And this was Game 2 of their Pool D match. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to be focusing more on what Feast does. This is just kind of going to give you guys, if you don't know what a two-base timing push, you don't know the build order, this is it. This is Feast, very good player, doing it very well. And Idra responds pretty well. We'll see how this game goes. It ends a little short because this is Idra, but you know, can't blame him too much for that. And really quick, I want to talk about the map, Antigua Shipyard. It's a pretty standard map, and so a lot of the replays for this are gonna be on. Oh come on, that was spoiler warning. That was March 7th, man. You are 20 days late. Anyways, so Antigua Shipyard, I'm going to do a lot of the replays on this map simply because the consistency of seeing different people do different styles on this map is helpful, so you can see where the differences lie. So the first off, Feast is going to put a pylon down here. Some people can wall in way out here, but Feast is actually just going to wall in really close to his ramp, really close to his natural, so he can defend it really well with photon cannons, that kind of stuff. But what he's going to do, more importantly, is scout out his opponent. This was an MLG map, I believe, so only cross spawns exist, so that's why he went straight over. But the thing that Feast is focusing on right now is figuring out what Idra is doing, and he's seeing an early spawning pool, but he's not seeing any gas. So he senses that Idra may be trying to get a hatchery down soon, and you can see he's already preparing to stop this probe and this drone, and they'll wander around a bit. Fun stuff, just delaying this hatchery as long as you can, and that's, you know, what you do to be a jerk. Meanwhile, Feast, he's got his Nexus first, right after the pylon. You just save up and you can actually go like 17 probes. And what he's going to do is get down the Forge as well. It looks like, oh, this pylon finished. I saw the supply go really high for no reason. But it's just because it's pylon. It'll die, so that supply will drop back down. But he can actually use that supply to get more probes, and there's going to be the pylon down now that he's supply blocked. Forge finishing just in time, and he's going to immediately put down a pylon to finish this wall here. And this photon cannon is in a great position to just block everything. Meanwhile, he's putting his barracks back here. He's going to try to get... He's already getting 2 gas on the way, and that's because he's going to get the robo. but he's putting his tech way back here. So this Overlord, it's not actually seeing everything. And if it tries to move this way, the photon cannon actually will start attacking it. This isn't perfectly hidden if the Overlord can move around, but it's just so you have more defense from any kind of run-ins with Lings. They won't scoot in back here. That kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Idra's got this hatchery down. He killed the pylon a long time ago, and he's doing a quick third. So stuff that we saw last game on Daybreak is pretty applicable here to this base. Getting quick 3 bases is pretty strong for Zerg. So, let's speed it up a bit, because not much is happening. He's actually going to get 3 gases total, and he's going to get a lot of gas going, because as soon as the Cybernetics core finishes, he starts Warp Gate technology, and then as soon as he has the money for it, he should be putting down a Robo Bay very soon. In fact, there it is, right next to the Cyber Core, so everything is hidden back here. And this Overlord may try to move in, but it's not going to see anything. Yeah. And people are mentioning the wall off here is a lot easier than the wall off by the ramp. That's totally true. Look at this is a wall in done with 4 buildings, whereas here it's like you need 2 pylons, you need a lot of gateways. If you get any sort of aggression, you can just get a run by and not have any protection in your mineral line because all of your photon cannons are up here. Like I said, he's going to move the Overlord in. It's not going to see anything because these sentries are pretty mean guys. It'll see some of these warp gates being thrown down, but that's pretty standard. The only other options really for Feast to do would something crazy like 2 Stargate, Robo, that kind of stuff. This isn't going to signal Idra off to any sort of craziness. Usually TOS won't take that 3rd base earlier, they'll try 3 base push. So Idra knows what he's facing against. He lost the Overlord, so he's still trying to drone up, but he is getting a macro hatchery, he's getting an early lair, he almost has speed done, and we should see some sort of tech either after the lair finishes or possibly a Roach Warren beforehand. In the meantime, as soon as this Robo facility is done, Immortals are coming out, and with the Cyber Core done, these 6 gateways total are going to be able to turn into warp gates, and this push is happening soon. Sooner rather than later, you can see he's chrono boosting out 2 Immortals, and in addition, he's also getting +1 weapons, which is going to make his attack do that much more damage. What kind of army is he building? He's building lots of sentries, and he'll be getting some zealots as well. And that's because with force fields, you can really give your army better positioning and a stronger punch, whereas stalkers do more damage and have more health. They also cost a lot more, and you won't have the kind of money for this fun stuff. So he's got 2 Immortals, he's got his Zealot Sentry, he's got a few Stalkers in there as well, he's got a pretty strong army, the supply is even, and this push is going to happen very soon. He did lose this Observer, almost, yeah, it's going to get out of there. But really only Idra has Speedlings, and he's got a bunch of Roaches on the way, so pretty good timing. He's got Armor level 1, and he's getting Roach Speed, which is very smart. You can see here comes the large army. Hey, the hotkeys are working unlike last week. Here's the large gateway army. Here's the Immortals in the back. And what is it? It's a Warp Prism. It is coming to the rescue. Let's see what happens. So, we don't need that anymore. We have Idra, or Feast, knocking down these rocks, and he's putting down a ton of pylons so we can build lots of units and reinforce his army easy. You can see all of the slowing this down. Lings get a nice surround, but these force fields are keeping the Roaches out of range. There's Spine Crawlers, but they're not in the best position. There's 1 down here, and there's 2 being produced, well, right here on the ramp, but they're not there in time. And this push is doing a lot of damage. Lots of Roaches being pushed out because of these force fields. And Beast is forced to throw down a few more force fields that don't do too much damage. And this push is still pretty healthy, though. You can see all of these units are still very strong. Zealots are taking a majority of the damage, and the Spine Crawlers are falling finally. And this Warp Prism is being used. You can see here he's just moving in more units. And once he's taken out this 3rd, what he can do is he can move, and in fact he's going to do it right now, he's just going to move the Warp Prism up forward so he can reinforce directly on top of his army. He doesn't have to reinforce back here and run the units up. They're directly here where he needs them. That's what you do. And I really want to point out, actually I do need the command aim back. These immortals have a lot of the damage. And there's the cheat sheet, by the way. Happens really early. But here's what I wanted to point out. When you do a build like this and you get some immortals, this immortal has 12 kills, this immortal has 7. Together they have 19 kills. No other unit is going to have anywhere near that. You know, these stalkers have 3, 2, 1, sentry. This one has 5, this one has 3. They all have decent number of kills, but the immortals are really what pick away at those roaches. So this is a really good push by Feast. That's basically how you do a 2-base push with the Warp Prism. Even though the Warp Prism wasn't used in that map, this next match is going to show you how to use the Warp Prism, and it's going to be an older replay. But that's the basic build. Feast did it very well. You can see Idra just gave up, and that's, you know, kind of what happens. I have a question really quick. Here, let me bump it to me. Would it have been better if Feast cut back a bit on Stalkers, gotten a couple more Immortals, and made the push earlier? He was pretty much chrono boosting out the Immortals as soon as possible. I wasn't always watching it, but I watched the replay earlier, and basically as soon as the Robo's done, he's getting Immortals down. So that's pretty much the most amount of Immortals you can get at that timing. You could do a later push, but then what you're doing is making it so that more roaches come out, which could completely kill your push. So that timing that Feast did is exactly the window before a large number of roaches are available. You could see his army in position in that third base was really able to hold its ground, and the roaches were being pushed out and being, you know, pushed out of the way. Hey, Ruxin, thanks, Alex, Floorboard. You have like 3 names. The roaches were being pushed out of the way, but his army could still do damage because of the positioning they had. If there were roaches, there could be a flank around the side, speedlings doing a run by into the main, that kind of stuff. So you really don't want to delay that push any longer, and you can't really get more Immortals. So yeah. So this is going to be Numina versus Stoji. And I really like this match, especially because Astoji is, well, aren't you rank 1 GM? No, I'm just rank 4. But he's a very good player. In fact, he did very well at the recent MLG Columbus, beating some pretty well-known players. I don't have it off the top of my head, but go take a look. He did it really well, especially for a North American, fairly unknown player. And this is Stoji, but Numina here is the one that we're going to be focusing on. He is going to do a 2-base Warp Prism push, and he's actually the one who made the Team Liquid thread about doing this kind of push. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do, and you can see he's opening just like Feast did. Actually, not just like Feast did. He's doing a Forge First Fast Expand, but he'll be saving up for that 400 minerals. There is the Nexus. Meanwhile, this hatchery is going down for Ostoji. And this is pretty much the same kind of build. Forges earlier, so you can get a Photon Cannon earlier, but nothing too crazy. And it'll open pretty much the same way, so I'm not going to pick apart any of the details. This is on Shattered Temple. This map isn't that great. Oh, Jesus Christ. Camera feed's still on me. Oh, I'm horrible. I'm going to pause it so you can see. Okay, so Ostoji is getting his 2-base up. He's getting a macro hatch. The reason this map isn't paid attention as well is because it's hard to get a third. You need to break down these rocks to get a third, or these rocks to get a third, or take it way over here. But Numina is going to open up pretty much the same way. Really sorry about that, guys. You can see he's got the Forge, he's got the Photon Cannon, he's got some gateways, he's getting his Cyber Core, and he'll be getting his Robo Bay. Whoa, it's right in the back. No one's going to find this unless this Overlord moves over. But it's still a good position for it. Thank you for that. Okay, so here's a little deviation. He's doing an early push with Zealots. So this is actually just from building Zealots out of these 2 gateways, and it's trying to catch the Zerg player before he has a lot of Lings, before he has Ling speed. And if you can kill a Queen, if you can kill some drones, you can do some damage that puts you ahead later in the game. But against Zerglings, these Zealots are not going to be able to run away, so if they lose, they basically die, and you can see here, Ostoji got a lot of Lings out early. He has the 2 Queens here in a position where he can do damage, and these Zealots aren't going to do that much damage. So they are working on the Queens. Do they manage to take one out? Here come more Lings. Some micro going down. Oh, he has 19 hit points, 3. The Queen does go down, so, you know, you lose some larva production, but with 3 hatcheries, it's not going to put him back too far. And Ostoji actually has a lot of good scouting, and he's looking to take down these destructible rocks first. Meanwhile, Numina is going straight for a Warp Prism, and he's actually getting a Twilight Council. So it's not going to be the Immortals that we saw last time. We're going to see some different kind of style coming out of this 2-base timing push. You can see Cybercore isn't... Oh my gosh, Warp Gate isn't even done. It's just finished now, and it's going to be a 4-gate... 4 gates? Yeah. 4-gate Warp Prism push, and what he's doing is he's using the Warp Prism to carry units. He, in fact, puts 4 Zealots in the front, and he's moving out with the ground army through the land path. So this is going to be a dual strike attack, where he's got his ground army pushing in through the front, and he has this Warp Prism to do some damage in the back, perhaps. Ostoji is actually preparing very well against it. You can see he's just spread everything out. He has this Overlord here seeing the Warp Prism, but there is these 5 Zealots coming in the front, so let's see what kind of damage this push can do. What you can do here, and this is very important, he wanted to build units, but if he did, the time would be so that he might lose the Warp Prism, which basically kills the push, especially because it immediately cancels the Warp-In. So these Zealots are going to be left alone to do some damage. They're actually killing, they did kill a Queen, and they're killing a lot of the Zerglings, but you can see these 2 Queens coming from the back, and his Warp Prism is forced to run away. But these Zealots have actually just run straight up the ramp, and are now attacking the Queen. So these drones are trying to tank some damage, but these Zealots are actually going to do a ton. I just realized that all you guys are seeing are a bunch of nameplates. There we go. So there's 3 Zealots left, and they're just going to do some damage. But in the meantime, he's used this Warp Prism to make a bunch of Zealots here in the back. So he is totally denying... Hey, Brett. He's totally denying this kind of use of these 2 bases for as long as he can, and he's finally going to lose the Warp Prism, but there's going to be a ton of damage. In fact, look... Oh, that's wrong. Boom! That's what I wanted to show. Wow, that took a long time. Look at how one-sided the unit killed and workers killed tabs are. This is like as one-sided as it gets. Numina has done a ton of damage, and even though I want to show the resources are about the same, 400 still isn't the same. But he's only really lost minerals right now. He hasn't lost any gas. Thanks for wishing me happy birthday, guys. And this is just totally one-sided. So that kind of a push, gas only. He's trying to do some more here. You can see he cancels by making the Warp Prism no longer in Prism mode or whatever it's called. But he's just spending minerals right now. And what's he doing? Pause it really quick. He's getting gas units. He's getting Immortals. He's gotten Zealot Charge. He's getting a Templar Archives back at home. He's gotten +1 weapons, +1 armor, and +2 weapons is almost done. So he is saving his gas for all these great stuff, and he is going to be able to do a 2-base timing push in a little bit that is so strong, because he's going to be able to have Templar, some Archons in there. He has, you know, enough for an Archon right now. He has Charge, he has killer upgrades, and all he's spending on this attack is gas. And he's only, is minerals, and though he's only killing minerals, he's killing it in the right way, because he's leaving this poor Zerg, Ostoji, just scrambling, especially because he's forcing Infestors, he's forcing Roaches, and there's not many upgrades. It's only +1 melee. Dropping again with the Warp Prism in the main, taking out the Queen, hit and run tactics. Chat server restarting. Sorry, guys. And see, he just walks away. You don't have to be crazy doing damage. You just have to be hitting him when you can. You can see this is even more one-sided now. And Astoji, or Numina, is actually trying to take his third base now. He hasn't been able to take out these rocks. He's unfortunately not going to be able to keep it. This is a very smart run by Astoji because he did the scouting. He can see stuff. This War Prism is actually coming down to defend a base. You get that before the pylons even finish. The Warp Prism is down there to defend. Mobility is super awesome for the Warp Prism. Unfortunately, all of Astoji's army is here, and this Warp Prism is going to die. So the third base doesn't go up for Numina, but he can still do a very strong push. And you can see the Archons are there. They're 2-1. 3-1 is on the way. He has an unpowered gateway. Oh, he killed the pylon wall. And Numina's army is just getting really, really strong. A little bit... Okay, so he tries to take down the rocks. Here is the big engagement. All these roaches, lings, and infestors. Infestors dying almost immediately. And you can just see these charge lots are doing so much damage. And these roaches are forced to run away. But the charge lots are going to chase them all the way home. With the Archons here, these roaches don't have a chance if this is a full engagement, especially with Immortals in the back. So these roaches are forced to run away, and you can see the supply is slowly edging into Numina's favor. It was 50 supply difference a while ago. Now it's only 30. But Ostoji is just doing small stuff to keep himself in the game. He's doing run-bys. He's gonna maybe force a cancel on this Nexus, which is the kind of stuff you want to do. And he's trying to get up into the main. But this army is actually getting very scary. He's got Immortals, 3-1 Archons. Is going to be done in about 52 seconds. Another run-by from Astoji. He's going to do a lot of damage. He's pulling all of his army back into the main while he hits the third again. So this is actually just going to do a bunch of damage, taking out the third again. And these lings are going to be burrowed back here while this engagement happens up here at the front. Right, another good point. All of these Surglings cost a lot of larva. Very good point. And you can see just charge slots will kill any retreating army. And so I wanted to pause it right now. These lings have wreaked havoc in the main. They've taken out the main base, and all there is a few zealots here to take him out. These lings have pretty much set the game. Numina has not been able to set his third base down anywhere. He's behind economically by a long shot. But what does he have? He has this super strong charge slot Archon army, and there were some Immortals somewhere. They maybe got taken out. But he just has a very strong army, and he has this Warp Prism doing damage because he has what little minerals he can spend on these very cost-efficient units. And let's just take a look at what happens. He's moving in with his army. He's taking out pretty much everything. These spine crawlers don't have a chance. Archon's taking out roaches and taking out the third base. And so even though Numina doesn't have a leg to stand on economically, he's had such a lead in the gas that Astoji can't catch up. He's still only 1-0 on the upgrades, and this kind of a push is just going to destroy him, and this game isn't going to last much longer because Astoji just can't beat this army. He can keep warping in things right on the creep, right where his army's fighting with its Warp Prism. And that's about it. Astoji realizing, look at this, warping in a sentry in the main and walling it off. This is, how long into the game? 19 minutes into the game, using this kind of a wall off that you'd see in a much earlier thing to just get a lead, and now he's destroying the main. Look at there's 4 spine crawlers here. The Zerg is totally unable to win at this point. And that's about it. Warp Prisms are good. I have one more game I wanted to cast. So you guys finish the end of it. Pretty much a Stoji wins. He uses Warp Prisms. Just hit and run. This Warp Prism, it doesn't have any stats to show how many units it's warped in, but probably about 30 Zealots at this point who've gotten so many kills between them, done so much damage. What did I press? Okay, and I have one more replay, so this is going to be a shorter episode. Remember to send me... Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Stop! There we go. So I got one more replay, and what I'm going to do is compare the last two games, the 2 base Warp Prism pushes, with a 1 base Robo Cheese kind of play. And it'll be interesting because I know it's a favorite of my friend Alex's. What am I looking for? A man known as Lobber. Yeah, so this is 1 base Robo Cheese. And it's going to be Lobber versus Spido, some pretty well-known people. I've heard their names before at least, which for me is pretty good. That's wrong. And I should put up the thing too. Remembered it. Okay, so this is going to be Lobber, Protoss again against Spido. And it's going to be on Antigua Shipyard, so let's compare it with the Antigua Shipyard game that we saw in the beginning of this show. Again, we'll see the wall in here. Because it's 1 base, you want to hide everything, and you want to build a nice wall here. So it's going to be the standard gateway. He's going to get the assimilator. When the gateway finishes, he's going to get the cyber core, pretty standard stuff. Because there's no expansion, there's no Forge Fast expand, Spido is going to take his natural, but not be able to take his third. Because basically it's a signal for a 1 base attack. And chrono boosting out probes, opening pretty standard. Early lings to scout, they're not going to see the expansion, so he's not going to take his third. Do some damage to the cyber core. Develop micro, fun stuff. But what is he doing? He's getting really early 2 assimilators, and he's putting down a robo with his his first 50 gas go to the warp gate, his second 100 gas go to the robo facility, and he's got a stalker here just to pick off any overlords who try to scout in, so they don't see that he is doing some crazy damage in a second. Spido is just droning up. He's not too focused on defending right now. He needs the income. He's getting speed, but he's going to have to build some stuff to fight off this attack, especially because it's going to be a Warp Prism full of 2 Stalkers and an Immortal. And I actually watched a bunch of these games, and I don't really like this play, but I can see where it can do a lot of damage, so I'll try to point that out for you guys. So he's loading up the Immortal and 2 Stalkers into the Warp Prism, and it's going to move across the map. What does Spido have to fight against it? He has Lings. He has Lings with speed. And that's not too weak at all against Immortals and Stalkers. Really what I think this push is trying to target are the Queens, because with an Immortal and 2 Stalkers you can kill Queens very quickly because of the bonus damage against Armored. He's going to take some time to kill this Overlord, but in the meantime these Speedlings are going to move in, and yeah, he's going to be forced to push back. But in the meantime, back in his base, he's building lots of sentries. He's got an Immortal out. He's getting 4 gates, so it's going to be a 4-gate robo push with 3 Immortals, and this Warp Prism is just not going to do very much right now. It'll float around. It'll basically keep Spido busy. He's going to make a lot of Lings, and he's got Roaches, but really he's just stalling for this attack. What he's going to do here, and I really like this as opposed to the earlier push, is he's going to move his whole army out to the middle of the base. He's going to use the warp prism to reinforce his army. He's going to want to build some pylons. You can see he already has 2, so he's going to have tons of extra supply to build units, and now he's just going to push, and when he's done building, he's going to turn it back into a shuttle and move it close. And here comes a big, huge push. Lings get by, but you can see he's using the force fields from the sentries to give himself some time. He has the warp prism, so he's warping zealots directly into the battle, and he's picking off the Lings while he's trying to keep these roaches away. He has these immortals, so they're going to kill roaches very quickly. And now this army is pretty much undefeated. Look at how many units they've killed, and he has the warp prism to warp in some reinforcements whenever he wants to. He's running low on money. This is a 1-base push, but 4 immortals is just going to do so much damage. Look at... Actually, let me pause it. 4 of this warp prism dies. 7 kills on 1, 5 kills on 1, 12 kills on 1, 5 kills on 1. Total, that is 10, 7, 9, 29, right? Yeah, 29 kills just on the immortals. Oh my god. And this immortal actually doesn't die because of the way he used force fields until just then. Yeah. So this push isn't the strongest, but it's gonna win. It's gonna totally kill Spido. And with Lings, he's forced to pull the drones. Queen's going down, warping in zealots. Immortal is still alive. He's lifting it up and putting it back down. It has 6 kills. Spido doesn't have much. He's just building Lings and roaches, and this push keeps coming. There's no upgrades, there's no expansion. Lobber does not have any sort of recompense if he loses this army, but it doesn't matter. The Immortals are gone, but he has a massive army. More spines get targeted down almost immediately, and this push is going to be the game ender. Yeah. Killing the rest. Poor Spido, canceling in a burst of blood. That is the strength of Protosses who use robotics bays. What does the Zerg do against that? Well, I could give you an extra game. Actually, yeah, it's only 34 minutes, so I'm going to give you one more game so I can show you what a Zerg does against that. And there's actually 2 things that I've seen that totally work that shut down Lobber. But that was most of what I wanted to show. So the key to defending against that is knowing where the strengths of that push are. Clearly, the Immortal 2 Stalker drops didn't do much. But the strength of the push came right when he moved into the front with all of those Immortals, all of that damage, and just being able to kill the Lings, set the army, kill the warp, kill the force field out the roaches, and kill the Lings, and then kill the roaches. That's really where the strength of that push comes in, because if you flank or something, if you do a 2-pronged attack, you can really kill that army fast, while the whole army tries to kill the Lings, the roaches are doing a ton of damage. But let me show you a real-life example versus IS Top. This is Lobber. Lobber actually has a ton of these replays. I downloaded the whole pack, and I picked just a few that I wanted to show. Okay, so it opens exactly the same way. Oh, I should show you, huh? It opens exactly the same way, with IS Top, you know, spawning pool. He's gonna scout and see there's no expansion. He's gonna get his own expansion. We see the gateway, Cybercore wall, and 2 gas, and it does get scouted, the 2 gas, but as soon as the first robo facility there, getting out Cybercore, killed probe, mean stuff. IS Top that deserved to die. What a mean man. On what grounds being a spy? Mean stuff. But what did IS Top do differently? Such an early Roach Warren. In fact, does he have any Lings out on the map? He only has 2. He saw the 2 gas, and he just kind of figured that it was either going to be Robo or Stargate. It might be Blinkstalker, but not seeing an expansion, he gambled that having roaches is going to be better, especially because if it's Stargate, you can push. If it's Immortals, you have roaches. If it's Blinkstalkers, you have roaches. Roaches are strong units. They're good to have. So it's going to be the 4-gate Robo push, exactly like we saw last time. We should see those 2 Stalkers come out shortly. Here is the Immortal, and actually I stopped getting really early Spore Crawlers, so he may even think it's Void Rays. Actually, I don't know why you wouldn't do that if it's Void Rays. He thinks it's Void Rays, but he is going to move in this Overlord. Let's see if he actually manages to kill it. Never mind, I totally missed the Stalkers. He might have even warped them in somewhere else on the map. Here is that Immortal to Stalker push, and it gets shut down totally easily. Only 3 roaches, but a bunch more on the way, and Iastop successfully faced that off, but again, more Immortals coming out. This is the 4th one that'll be ready as soon as this finishes. Trying to do another drop here, doesn't do anything. Actually, he almost loses the Immortal there. But this is basically the same thing as the last game. He's doing a push, he's going to meet up in the middle, he's going to finish a warp in, and he'll push the front. But Iastop has a lot of roaches, and he's actually getting +1 attacks as well. Iastop is actually going for his 3rd, which is pretty greedy in the face of a 1-base Protoss. But let's look at how this attack goes. Lots of roaches, and actually he gets Hydras. Hydras are going to do a lot of damage to this kind of attack. And these are very good force fields, but with the Hydra's range, he'll actually be able to do damage. He hasn't lost a lot of his army, and he's pulling Lobber's army into his range of attack. This base may go down, in fact it totally goes down, but he's going to use the tanking little Freakling, Broodling things to just continually push this army back, and now he's actually getting a pretty good surround, and Lobber is forced to run away because the army of Iastop is outnumbering his. He's losing a lot of Stalkers. The Immortals are doing damage, but they're going to be targeted down soon. Forced to pull the drones, not that bad. But the War Prism, oh, it goes down with, okay, with nothing in it. But Hydras are just pretty good against Immortals, and that pushes might be over. But what does Iastop has? He has a 3rd. He's able to rebuild the natural. Lobber still has nothing, and he's pulling back his army. He's actually totally walled in his main. So he's trying to expand now, but he's way behind, and Iastop can just throw extra drones up here, and he's fine. What if Lobber had chosen to push the 3rd? You do the same thing, and you just surround him and get a good concave right down here with your Roaches, Lings, Hydras. So Lobber's actually way behind, and taking a look at the production tab, I can actually tell you what's going to happen. There's no drones being built. He's just now rebuilding this hatchery. He's building a lot of Lings and Hydras. He's just going to do a Ling Hydra push. So let's see how that goes. Oh my god, Scary Force. Yeah, that's a lot of Lings and Hydras, and this is not very much of an army, unfortunately for Lobber. Let's take a look at what happens. Some decent force fields, but look at the range on these Hydras. They're able to pick off the sentries even from beyond the force fields. They're going to be able to pick off pylons very quickly. Look how fast that pylon goes down, using some attack move, some stutter step from the Hydras. They are able to pick off all of these Stalkers so fast. Probes going down, Stalkers being distracted by the Lings. Hydras are good, man. If there's no Colossi, Hydras are good. As soon as the Colossi comes out, and with a Robo, that's not a bad guess. But as soon as the Colossi comes out, Hydras lose a lot of their damage because they group so much together and they die so quickly. But without AoE, Hydras are pretty good. So that's one way to stop it. I'll show you the next way that I saw. Actually, I watched this on accident. It's against a Korean player. It must have been played on the Korean server. I have to log back in because all of these are old. Let me not show you my password. Suck monkey! Oh my gosh, Battle.net is kicking my ass today. It's always been asking me to log in twice. It's very weird. Okay. We're back. And show you the last replay. How to beat a 1-gate push. Oh, let me find it. 12 Cole SL. Yep, this is it. And this is luckily on Shattered Temple, which we saw earlier. So we can see, again, keeping some things consistent. Okay. Pressing all the buttons. Alright, so it's going to open exactly the same. This is Lobber just... He released a replay pack of him doing the same thing, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to what he's doing. Speeding through this build. Cole SL. I don't know who this is. I think he's Korean because it has a KR in the replay name, but he's going to do spawning pool, expand, pretty standard. Lobber doing that same stuff. As soon as he gets his first 50 gas, there's Cybercore at the next 100. Robotics facility. Throw down 3 gates when this gets close to finishing. And he's getting out a Immortal and 2 Stalkers. Wow, what am I doing? Pressing the wrong buttons. So, there again is that Immortal Stalker. Replay stuff. Okay, so this map is not super strong. And what we saw is no Roach Warren. So how does Cole SL stop it? He has a bunch of Lings and Queens, but he's not going to be able to do too much damage. He'll probably pick off this Overlord, which is another target if you're doing this kind of push. But the Lings are going to be enough to push away this. He's not going to be able to pick off any Queens. Cool. But, like I said, here's the 4-gate. There is more Immortals coming out. Here's the 4th Immortal. It's just so many Immortals so fast. People really underestimate them because they only cost 250, 100. That 100 gas isn't very much if you're not doing anything else. And actually walling in case of any run-by is pretty smart stuff. He tried to do another push up here, but Cole SL has 5 Queens. Even if he loses one, he doesn't lose very much. But what is he doing? He's throwing down so many Spine Crawlers. There's 4 here, and actually, he may even choose to build more. Here's that push, meeting up in the middle, using the Warp Prism to warp in units. And he's going to do a push. But, oh my gosh, there are 6 Spine Crawlers, 4 are already completed, 2 more are on the way, and he's using Lings to stall, so these Spine Crawlers are actually doing a ton of damage. And he's already lost a ton of Stalkers. He only has 2 left. And these Spine Crawlers are almost finishing. The Queens are going to be able to heal up any damage. You can see Transfuses going down. The Immortal is falling. Spine Crawler wall. This is a hold if ever there was a hold. He's killing some Spine Crawlers with the Zealots, but in the meantime, I mean, look at the income. 46 drones to 26. These Queens are now doing a ton of damage. There's still a lot of Spine Crawlers, and this push is basically over. In fact, it is over. I think the Warp Prism went down to the Queens. So Queens and Spine Crawlers actually also can hold off this kind of stuff. So, yes, that first game was scary, but there's ways to defeat it. In fact, Cole SL, during that whole push, teched 2 Mutas, and he has 3 Mutas in production. So this base would totally die, and he'd never be able to expand. Great game. So, that's it, guys. That is episode 2. It's a pretty big investment, yes, to get all those Spine Crawlers, but because you have a second base, you're fine. If he tries to expand, you can kill it, because he'll have wasted 400 minerals, and you've already made that investment. So really just holding that second is what's important in that kind of a situation against that kind of cheese. So this has been week 2. You learned about warp prisms off 1 or 2 base, and make sure to get your replays in. I'm looking forward to seeing some really cool proxy fast expands. Maybe with Season 7, someone will send me a really nice Metropolis fast expand. I kind of want to see how that works out, where you try to take the island as your natural. How cool would that be? I'm looking forward to it. Sock Monkey says bye. I'm going to go enjoy my birthday. You guys have a good day. See you guys later.